I find the book of the Revelation a book of mystery, a book of majesty, and a book of misery. Because it shows me the final stage of lost men, that forever and ever they're going to be cut off from God. That if there are 1,000,000 roads into hell, there's not one road out. That if they continually sing in heaven, worthy is the Lamb, in hell, the only thing they sing is the harvest is past, the summer is ended, and we're not saved. Revelation 20, and read from verse 11. And I saw a great white throne, and him that sat upon it, from whose face the heavens and the earth fled away, and there was found no place for them. And I saw the dead, small and great, stand before God, and the books were opened. And another book was opened, which is the book of life. And the dead were judged out of those things which were written in the books according to their works. And the sea gave up the dead which were in it, and death and hell were delivered up the dead which were in them. And they were judged every man according to their works. And death and hell were cast into the lake of fire. This is the second death. And whosoever was not found written in the book of life was cast into the lake of fire. The judgment of the sinners. I saw a great white throne, typical obviously of purity, and him that sat upon it. Now we read these things and they kind of slide over our minds, but listen to the awesomeness of this. From whose face the heavens and the earth fled away, and there was found no place for them. And I saw the dead, small and great, stand before God, and the books were opened. And you can tell God you're not concerned about what this preacher says, but say, Lord, give me some new illumination on this awesome fact of judgment. We live too much in time. We're too earthbound. We see as other men see. We think as other men think. We invest our time as the world invests it. We invest our money. We're supposed to be a different breed of people. She's gagged and bound. She needs release in this awful hour in which we're living. And the only one that can bring that release is Jesus Christ himself. Why, even the disciples, well, what do you think of our Master now? He's even raising the dead. And Jesus says in John 5:28, listen, don't marvel at this. Oh, if this stirs you, wait, I've got a word for you. He says, the day is coming in the which all who are in the grave shall hear the voice of the Son of God, and they shall rise. Did you get that? From Adam, wherever he is right now, in the sands, in the dust, all who are in the grave shall hear the voice of the Son of God. You see, Jesus says, I am the resurrection and the life, and I believe he did rise from the dead. Not because of that long list in 1 Corinthians 15, but away at the end of the book of Revelation, he says, I am he that liveth and was dead, and behold, I am alive forevermore. And I have the keys of death and hell. Don't you believe that old bachelor in Rome? You don't know who he is? Well, it's the Pope. He says he has the keys, not on your life. Jesus has the keys of death and of hell. And at the voice of the Son of God, won't that be amazing when he says, rise? All that are in the sea and all that are in the grave. I crossed the Atlantic, I guess, about 18 times on the Queen Mary, Queen Elizabeth, United States. And after dinner at night, when people went to smoke and drink and dance and everything else, I walked up and down the deck, and almost every time I crossed it, I looked overboard and I said, hey, you down there, you're going to get up one day. You buccaneers who died in the Spanish Main, stealing treasures, and the folk that sank in the Lusitania, and the people that sank in the Titanic, and the people that sank in all the great ships during the war, at the voice of the Son of God, they're going to rise. Millions of them, billions of them, trillions of them. And they're all going to stand at the judgment seat of Christ. That's going to be a spectacle. Oh, where is it going to take place? I don't know. You see, this book of the Revelation is not only at the end of the Bible, but it deals with the end of time, and then it deals with things that happen at the end of the time. And it's the only book in the world which is authentic. And everyone that is dead is going to hear the voice of the Son of God. Look for a minute at that 6th chapter in the Revelation. Look at verse 12. And I beheld, when he had opened the 6th seal, lo, there was a great earthquake. The sun became black as sackcloth of hair, and the moon became as blood, and the stars of heaven fell to the earth, even as a tree casteth her untimely figs when she is shaken of a mighty wind. And the heaven departed, and as a scroll when it is rolled together. And every mountain and island were moved out of their places. And the kings of the earth, and the great men, and the rich men, and the chief captains, and the mighty men, and every bondman, and every freeman, they hid themselves in the dens and in the rocks of the mountains, and said to the mountains and rocks, fall on us, and hide us from the face of him that sitteth on the throne, and from the wrath of the Lamb, for the great day is come. In the end of the book of the Revelation, it says of the redeemed, which is in the other judgment, that they're going to come and they long to see his face. Again, Fanny Crosby, blind for 84 years. And when somebody said to her, it's a shame a great Christian like you is blind. You can't see the sunset. You can't see the lovely flowers. You're at such a disadvantage. Oh, no, she said, I'm at a great advantage. You know, she was the first woman in history, in American history, blind though she was, to address the joint, different sections of Congress. She addressed the senators, and she addressed the congressmen, and she addressed the whole government, the first woman in history, a little blind woman. And they said, and you never see the sunset. God has denied you so much. She said, my dear, I have a great advantage over you. What's your advantage? She said, don't you realize the first face I ever see will be his face? Do you wonder she wrote so many hymns about his face, seeing his face? That will leave us spellbound when we see his face. But here the great men, the rich men, the mighty men, the rulers. I saw the dead, small and great, every king that's ruled over England, the caliphs of Baghdad, the Maharajas of India, stand one day. Can you imagine it? At the judgment seat of Christ, to give an account for the deeds done in the body. Well, of course, if you have a judgment, you must have a judge. I do not have any pictures of Christ in my home, because I don't think you should make any likeness of any graven image, and nobody knows what Christ was like. You see pictures of Jesus as a baby, you see him as a young man, you see him sometimes on the back of an animal riding into Jerusalem. But there's a picture I've only ever seen once, and it was so grotesque I didn't look a second time. At the voice of the Son of God, they're all going to rise and face the eternal judge. What will he be like? In Australia, they showed me the picture that they have. Beechcroft, or somebody, Beecher, painted a picture of Christ in Australia. He's got lovely blonde hair and bright blue eyes and a lovely flaxen beard. Well, I don't think that was a picture of Jesus. And the Chinese have an interpretation of Christ through their artists. And there are some dreadful pictures, I think, that have been given by the great masters, so-called. And they've given us pictures of Jesus. But I'll tell you what, it's a very different picture in the Word of God. I believe that the Church of Jesus Christ needs a new revelation of the majesty of God. This is what? This is the King of Kings, and he's the Judge of Judges, and it's the Tribunal of Tribunals, and there's no court of appeal after it. The verdict is final. There'll be no biased judgment. 2 people at least have said to me this week, there is no justice in the earth today. Maybe there isn't. But I hang on to a word that says, shall not the judge of all the earth do right? The Apostle Paul got a picture of Jesus, not with a lamb in his arms, not like the stained glass windows in our so-called cathedrals, where Jesus looks pathetically feminine. He sees Jesus and he says, here he is, he's the King, immortal, invisible, the only wise God, to whom be praise and glory forever. So we're going to see the King of Kings. He's the Judge of Judges in the court of courts. In the final tribunal, there is no tribunal after this. This is finished. And when I hear people singing, put your hand in the hand of him that walks on the water, forget it. Or the new song that's out, shake hands with Jesus. Listen, when you see Jesus, you're not going up and say, hey, buddy, I'm glad you died for me. When you see Jesus, you'll be almost paralyzed with fear unless you had a glorified body and a glorified mind. Who is writing the book? This is a revelation to a man on an island, on a devil's island. The worst place, the gathering of the scum of the earth. And here he is. And if you'd gone to him that morning and seen him sitting on a rock contemplating, you might have said to him, well, John, I didn't expect to find you in this hellhole with all these demon-possessed men. And here you are in the Isle of Patmos. He said, no, I'm not. Where are you? He says, I'm in the Spirit. He was in the Spirit when this enormous revelation was given to him. The picture of Jesus here is not the picture of a pathetic individual pushed around by anybody who wants to push him around. I think sometimes we think we're going to march up and say, well, Jesus, do you know how many years I served you and how many souls I won for you and how many sermons I preached for you? Oh, no. Well, what will he be like in heaven? Well, I'll tell you what the book says he'll be like. It says his hair is as white as snow. His feet are like burnished brass. His face is like the sun in its strength. His eyes are living coals of fire. His tongue is a sharp two-edged sword. And here is John, who used to lean his head on the bosom of Jesus and hear that divine heartbeat. The man that I believe knew more about Jesus than anyone else. And when he saw Jesus there on his throne in his majesty, with his face brighter than the sun, with his feet like burnished brass, with his eyes like flames of fire, with his tongue majestic and his voice like the sound of many waters, John, the man who had walked with him and talked with him for 3 years, says that when I saw him, I fell at his feet as dead. What do you think you and I are going to do? We see there the judge in all his awesome majesty, in all his glory. And we have a picture here of the unholy dead, small and great, standing before God. And when they see him in his awesome majesty, no, they don't worship him. They're terrified. This is a great exposure. They couldn't find the 18 minutes on the tapes of Mr. Nixon. Well, I'll tell you who's got a perfect record of them. And they're going to be read out one day before millions. You say, Mr. Ravenhill, I couldn't stand up there or anywhere else. I'm so nervous. If a few people look at me, I want to tell you something. There'll be 1,000 million or trillion people when you stand there at the judgment seat without your wife to lean on, or your husband, or your preacher, or a friend. And Paul is writing in the 14th chapter of Romans, and he says we, so he writes of even to believers at the judgment seat. We must all, there's no exception. We must stand at the judgment seat of Christ. You can't send your lawyer, you can't send a representative. You can't send a preacher who says, well, I understand this person who's always falling up and down and in and out and he didn't know where they were. I'll explain it to you. And the Lord says you won't do anything of the kind. Can you see those millions of unholy dead? All the criminals that ever lived, every prostitute that ever went on the tour? Can you think of all the men who make millions out of pornography? Can you think of the pimps who pollute those little girls that go to West 44th, West 42nd Street in New York, and they go to all the hellholes?